Hey residents of MeepleTown, today we're looking at Find Sand by Stronghold Games.
Yeah, so this is Friedemann Friese's latest game, so because we're fans of Friedemann, we wanted to give this a shot for sure, no question about that. I'll say this, I'm pretty interested about this game because this has gotten some mixed reviews. Like, I know some folks that have really thought this game was pretty darn good, and then some other ones that were like, it's meh. So I don't know, I say let's just, let's dive into the sand. I'm sinking in the sand.
Oh, stop it.
Man, let's see how it is. But before we go in and show you some gameplay, if you are enjoying MeepleTown, join our community. We would love that. So let's do it, huh? We're going to show you some gameplays and then some gameplays, plural.
It's finally start.
Oh my goodness, it's finally starting time. We're going to show you some gameplay and then we'll give you our final thoughts, review, and all that good stuff. So let's do it. In Find Sand, this is a deck deconstruction game. So the goal for us is to get rid of this entire deck here by putting them as sandcastles or by building our little engine here that allows us to do actions or by offshoring them. So anyway, that's what we're gonna do. So let's just...
Yeah, the gameplay is pretty simple, and you'll see it kind of play out as we kick it off. So you want to start it off, John?
I will.
We kind of play simultaneously. So.
You do this, and that's one cool thing about Find Sand that I enjoy about it is the simultaneous play. So to start off the game, we're going to draw 6 cards. Now, normally what we're going to do when we start off our turns is we're just going to go through each of these actions, which is really nice and very simple. The first thing we would normally do is draw 2 cards, but since we drew 6 to start the game off, we will not draw 2 the first round.
Correct.
Then Dean and I are both going to choose at the same time whether we want to build something, construct either a sandcastle or one of these cards down here, or whether we want to draw cards, which is action 2A or 2B. And this is really nice because it's easy to forget. And then finally, we're going to check our hand limit, which our hand limit is 3. So let's just both look at all those monies I got. Oh my gosh. No, but look, I didn't really get anything. Oh, I'm going to be able to build that.
First thing, oh, look at that. First thing you want to do is shuffle the cards.
I stacked the deck while he was gone. No, not at all. Wow. Okay. So
start off.
If I want to purchase a card, which is what I'm going to do, I'm going to construct a card. So I'm going to move this over to 2A. I want to construct this 8. So the way that I do that is every card besides these, which is why Dean's making a big stink about it, every card besides these are actually worth 1 value. So if I didn't have any of these coin cards here, I'd have to have 8 different cards to construct this. But because I do, they're worth the value that's on the card. So if I want to construct this, I can pay 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then I could use this 8, 9, or I could, I'm going to use this for 8 and save this for the next round so that I can hopefully construct something. Then I'm going to now finally just check my hand limit, which it was 3, but I just added 2 to it on the first round. Oh yeah. So now I have a hand limit of 5, and that's the round for me. Go ahead, Dean.
All right, so I'm actually going to do something pretty similar. I already drew up. So I'm going to construct as well, and I have a card that adds to my hand limit. It only adds one to my card. It adds 1 to my hand limit, and it costs 6. Not as good as John, but I'm going to pay this one, which adds 3, 4, 5, and 6.
There you go.
And I will...
Here, you should put these over here
discard
for your draw pile. There you go.
Discard those and show that I am done with my turn.
There we go.
That's it. Well, I'm good on my hand limit, so we go ahead. The turns are very fast in this game, so you're just going to start from the left and move over to the right again, which means we're each both going to draw 2 cards.
2 cards, yep. So we'll do like 2 or 3 rounds of this, and then we'll kind of talk about it. So I'll go ahead and talk mine out next is, oh man, I've got some really nice cards, but I don't have enough to be able to construct anything, because if I wanted this is only 2, 3, so I cannot do that. So I will slide over to the 2B, which will allow me to draw up 2 more cards. Man, all those, that's all those hand limits are showing up. Increasing hand limit can be pretty important in this game early on. So the only thing I do need to do is discard. Oh no, I don't need to discard now because I get 5, not 4.
How about that?
How about that? I'm done with my turn, that's it. Quick.
All right, so for me, I am going to do the same. I'm going to draw 2, but for me, my hand limit is 4. So I'm actually going to have to get rid of a card, and I can discard down to that limit, or I can put one of my cards on my card, which is going to make John have to take that card.
That's right, and you can flip that over so I don't know what it is.
Oh, that's right. We don't want to show him.
You don't want to show me.
So I'm going to put that there so that when he draws cards up, I'm scared. Let me get that out.
What's
He's
happening?
actually going to have to take that card from me eventually. So.
That's right. So he's going to turn this, flip it over or turn it sideways. What this card allows you to do is once per action, do whatever the action is on this. And now you automatically get this to start the game with. There's another one that you could get in the deck, but then we'll talk about it later. There's a Fable deck, which adds a whole bunch more cards and stuff like that. But once per turn, he can offshore. When there's a card on each offshore, then we take each other's and they go into our discard pile. So Dean wants to give me stinky cards.
Yeah.
And I want to give him sneaky cards.
That's absolutely right, because you're trying to get rid of all your cards, which is such a weird way of thinking about a card game.
Get rid of your cards, yeah. And this is they're permanently gone if they're offshored. So they're not in the discard pile permanently gone. Whenever this pile, the draw pile is gone, we're going to shuffle up the discard pile and then put it over here, and that will be our new draw pile. So as long as we're putting castles up here, stuff here, or the offshore, they're gone for good. So let's do another round. One more round.
Let's check this out. So we're both going to draw up. Right now we can only draw 2 cards, so we'll do that. And then I'll just win the game here.
You'll just win the game. Ooh, I've got a good one. 2, 3, 4.
All right, so for me, I'll go ahead and take my turn, John. I'm going to construct, and I'm going to construct a... Let's see. I'm going to construct a... Let's see. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, that'll be good. So I'm going to construct this card right here,
That's a great card.
7, and that's going to allow me to build for 1 less money in the future. But I have to pay 7 total cost. So that's going to be 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Discard all of those, and that will be my turn. But what a good turn it was.
I'll tell you, you know what I'm going to do?
What's that?
I'm going to construct a 7.
Are you kidding?
That allows me. Oh, it's such a good card.
I was so
2,
excited about
3,
that turn.
4, 5, 6, 7. The same thing. Now, here's what's interesting about this card, as Dean said. This allows us, everything costs 1 less, so this would have been 7, so everything else is going to cost 1 less. What it doesn't do, however, is cards in the red, besides this one, cards in this red lane are going to allow us to have extra build actions. So instead of, like, we've been building 1, I should have slid over, we've been building 1 at a time. As the game progresses and you're able to get more cards out and all that kind of stuff, you're going to want to be able to build more than 1 at a time. That does not allow you to do that.
Right.
But it does make the cost less.
That card right there, that would give you an additional build.
To be able to do that.
Yeah.
Now, no one did this, so again, what the blue is, all it's going to do is allow us to add more whenever we draw on 2B, unless we get into the Fable deck or whatever. We didn't construct any of these. These are going to be the same thing as what's already there. They're going to give us just more cards to draw from at the beginning, which is hugely, hugely important in the game. So, Dean, what do you think about the art and components for Fable?
I think the components, there's not much, right? It's mostly just cards. There's some wooden pieces, which are fine. I'm okay with it. The art, I think, is okay. It's not blowing me away or anything like that, but I enjoy it.
I really like the art because it's a little quirky or whatever. I like all of the art pretty much in most everything all of Friedemann's games, pretty much. Sure. So I do really like the art, but I agree that there's not tons to it. The cards are really good quality. These are fine. The board's thick.
Fine.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's I like these ring. I like the ring, by the way. I think that's really that's a nice touch, because you'll go over here and draw cards and go and start wanting to build, and then remember that they have that there.
Yeah, I think that's everything's really functional, and the iconography is great. Honestly, like, I think everything's very intuitive.
That is a
graphic
great point.
design.
Like the plus, the 2, you know exactly. It's very simple. So yeah, for me, the art's pretty cool.
Yeah,
it's not blowing me away, but it's pretty cool, and the components are functional, solid.
Yeah, absolutely. And now onto the gameplay. One thing I really enjoy about this game is it has a feeling of a deck builder a la Dominion or something like that, where the cards, as you're putting cards out onto your tableau, it's affecting your future choices. I think that's pretty neat, and it's very unique in the way that you're trying to get rid of your cards. I think that's something I haven't seen in a lot of games like this. I
agree. It also gives me a feel. Now, it's not, let's do it as fast as we can, but if you've ever played like Nerds or something where you're trying to get rid of your deck, so if you enjoy stuff like that, it's different in the sense of you're taking turns 1 at a time and you're not just going as fast as you can. But I think you might actually really like this game if you've ever enjoyed some games like that. But yeah, you're trying to get rid of the deck, and you're right, it's like a deck builder, but it's a deck deconstruction.
Yeah.
I think it's fun. My highlights for this are fast gameplay.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can play this in about 30 minutes if everybody knows what they're doing. There's very little downtime in between turns. I mean, maybe Dean or I have taken a few extra minutes to think about, or a few extra seconds actually, to think about our next turn. I like that about it. I feel like the game is very smooth. I feel like it, and I love how the iconography and everything's very simple. It's really easy to understand. It's easy to teach, except for I have taught it to a few people where at first their minds have to get a little bit wrapped around it. Like, I want to get rid of these cards because they're so used to building instead of deconstructing. But after that, it's very simple. I think it's very intuitive. Quick play. It's a fun game.
Yeah. Now, the things that I don't enjoy about it as much is that the game in and of itself, now I'm talking about without the fabled cards, it can get pretty samey, right? Like you're essentially doing the same things over and over again. And there's 4 types of cards. Well, technically 5, I guess, if you count these types of cards. Yeah. But there's 4 types of cards, and they all pretty much do the same thing, right? So you've got cards that will add, that will add the build on there that gives you an extra build.
Yeah.
And you can get several of those, or cards that are going to give you more cards to draw, either in the blue or the green phase, and that are going to add to your hand limit, but that's kind of it, right? And other than, okay, there's the sandcastles that you build that are just like point cards, essentially, or cards that have point values on them.
Yeah.
So in and of itself, I guess the game can get really samey quickly.
It seems like there is 1 or 2 strategies. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like and I think that's part of it too. Yeah. Like you want to get your hand limit up, you want to get this going. It doesn't seem like there's like but with that being said, Dean mentioned the Fable cards. Yeah. And in Friedemann's Fable stuff, like in this game, what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of 3 cards and add 3 brand new cards. And I thought to myself, because there's 30 cards in the deck, can 3 cards really change a game dramatically?
Yes.
Yes.
It definitely can. And 3 every time, right? So you're adding more and more and more. But even
there's
on the
30 of them. So I think there's quite a few. There's, I guess, 9 or 10 different fables or at different decks that you can have.
So even on the first, like even in the first game when you're just changing out 3, I think it can impact it. And we've seen that impact it quite a bit, where it feels again like a Dominion or another type of deck builder, because you're adding new cards to your deck that change the rules, which I think is cool.
And you're getting rid of 3 cards, and it's kind of a random draw sort of thing. Yeah. So that's another big piece to it. Is you may go, well, after I play through the Fable cards, do I want to play again? Well, yeah, probably, because you're going to get rid of probably 3 different cards next time to replace those, which will then change, because if you lose like this card, for example, which is only 1 of these in the entire deck, that totally changes the game, and it can change your strategy and how you want to go about it. So the Fable cards are huge to me for replayability, and it really helps this game to go from a okay game to it's a pretty good game for me. And it's those Fable cards. I think they're awesome.
Yeah, I totally agree. If you like games like San Juan or Race for the Galaxy 2, where you're using cards as currency in and of themselves,
yeah, that's cool.
So to pay put a level 3 card down, you're going to pay 3 cards out of your hand. This is just a very simplified version of that. The options are a lot simpler, but the Fable adds an extra layer of complexity, I guess. But John, what do you think of your final thoughts?
Final thoughts
and rating.
Yeah, so I've mentioned I like how it's quick to teach. I think it pretty much quick to teach, unless they're getting their mind wrapped around that. It's fast to play. I can pull it out and I enjoy playing it every time, and I've played this quite a bit now that I've gotten it. So it's a good game. I'm giving it 7.5 out of 10. I think it's a very solid game. I see myself coming back to this quite often because of the time it takes. Yeah. There's not a lot of 30-minute games that I enjoy a whole lot. I'm just going to be real, but this is one of them. Like I enjoy this. I'll play this quite a bit. I think Friedemann did a great job with this quick deck deconstruction game, and yeah.
The thing I like about Friedemann Friese games is he's not afraid to try new things. His games can be very unique, and I enjoy that. Now, sometimes because of that, there's some flops out there for me. Yeah. This I don't think is one of them. I'm not as big on this game as what John is, but I still enjoy it. I would say with just the game in and of itself, I'm at a 6.5. Now, adding in the Fabled part, which I think is key to this game, and it comes with it, so it's not like you have to buy something, a separate expansion. Yeah. It bumps it up to a 7 for me, which is good. You know, a game that I really enjoy, and I think this is fun. And once you get through all the Fabled stuff, I even think it can be fun because it still is going to be different, right? Yeah. So anyway, that's for sure. That's it for us. I give it a 7. John gives it a
7.5. And we also want to thank Stronghold for sending us this game to be able to do a review of it. If you want to follow us on other things besides YouTube, as we've already talked about, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, MeepleTown Games, we're on Facebook, MeepleTown Games, Board Game Geek.
Nailed it.
What guild?
3407.
I knew what it was. I just wanted to see if Dean knew what it was. 3407.
All right.
So that's it, huh?
Yeah, and if you have any questions about anything or have any comments you want to leave those below.
Absolutely.
Until next time, thanks for coming down to MeepleTown.
Thanks for joining us, and be sure to follow us on Twitter at MeepleTown Games, and connect with us on the MeepleTown Guild, guild number 3407, at BoardGameGeek.com, and also subscribe to our podcast and YouTube channel. And until next time, thanks for coming down to MeepleTown.